Hello, and welcome to the Infinite Love Podcast. This is a place where we share how love can transform negative emotions and pain into strength. We talk about all things related to love, positivity, and kindness. And I am your host, Corinne Camara. Welcome to episode 6, From Seeking to Coaching. Today, we're going to speak to Dr. Sandra Scheinbaum, CEO of the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy. Dr. Sandra helps people become functional medicine health coaches because she believes that training thousands of coaches around the world is the solution to overcoming the lifestyle diseases that are killing us. A former educator and a licensed clinical psychologist for over 35 years, she is an expert in blending functional medicine principles with positive psychology, cognitive behavior therapy, mind-body medicine, and more. She's the author of Functional Medicine Coaching, Stop Panic Attacks in 10 Easy Steps, and How to Give Clients the Skills to Stop Panic Attacks. Today, we're going to talk about her story and what inspired her to become a trainer and educator for other coaches around the world. And let's get into today's episode. Hi, welcome to the Infinite Love Podcast. I'm so excited to have Sandra here today, and she's going to tell us about functional medicine.
It's an honor and a pleasure to be here talking with you today.
Thank you. So what is your love lesson? What is the reason what brought you to doing the work that you do?
It really comes from a very strong mission and purpose to help people have healthier, more vibrant lives, to be able to live their dreams. And it's possible. And the reason I say it's possible is because I've experienced it. I've experienced it personally, and I've experienced it with hundreds of people that I worked with for like 40 years when I was a clinical psychologist. And I was a renegade in that field because that field was all about what's wrong with you. And people were saddled with psychiatric diagnoses and often over-medicated or felt they were told they had to be on medication their entire lives because there was something damaged about them. And I took a different approach, and it was many years before we had a field that was called functional medicine or positive psychology, but I just knew intuitively that there had to be another way, and it had to be addressing what was right with people, and it had to be addressing the whole person. It's not just, at the time, we're talking late 70s, the 80s, it was this idea that the mind and the body were together was actually very radical. Like, what do you mean? Doctors arguing with me that our thoughts and our feelings could have any impact, or what we ate could have any impact on what was going on at a physical level.
Did you have your own health crisis that led you to become a medical provider?
So, so I didn't know it at the time because I had a whole history of issues. And when I started learning about functional medicine, I was putting the puzzle pieces together. In functional medicine, we look at somebody's timeline, their personal narrative, and it starts way before birth. And so we look at what our ancestors ate or how they lived their lives. And for me, I was a child of the 50s, born in 1950. Well, that at that time, it was very much about you were not breastfed, you were bottle fed, you were given a lot of antibiotics, and I was at an early age, and that continued for a long time. Well, and when you were an adolescent, I remember I was dating somebody at the time, and who later ended up being my husband, and I remember he took me to his dermatologist. Oh, you should be doing this too. You should get get this prescription
Wow.
for acne, because I was in college, we both were,
Hmm.
and that was what everybody did. And also the trauma. So my father died when I was 9, and
Oh no.
afterwards I was an only child, and my mother had a lot of financial issues because she wasn't prepared to be in the workforce, and because I was sickly, and so she was kept losing a lot of jobs. So bottom line is, it was stressful. Well, I developed a lot of infections, and they just kept giving me more antibiotics, and nobody put the pieces together. Nobody
Oh.
said, well, maybe there's the effect of trauma and stress can play a role. And then later in my 20s, I was binging on sugar after I went away to college and started getting really bad, debilitating panic attacks.
Mhm.
And again, went to the doctor and was told, well, take this medication and you'll probably be on it for some time. So fortunately, by then, I developed an awareness that I was just going to do my own research and read up. And so I went to the manual and looked up the medication. Like, this is a medication they give to heart patients. Like, I don't want this. That was,
Mhm.
and I remember that just like tossing them, saying, I'm not going to take these. There's got to be a better way. Unfortunately, I had entered a doctoral program in clinical psychology at the time and signed up for a special workshop that was optional. And it was about biofeedback and self regulation techniques. Whoa, you mean I've been breathing the wrong way? I've been stressed because of things like, again, just an altered breathing pattern. And if I changed that and started doing some belly breathing, whoa, that's making a huge difference. And then I trained in cognitive behavior therapy, fortunately, with one of the founders of the field, Albert Ellis. And so learned that. And I added that on to breathing, which is where you look at what you're thinking about and how you're scaring yourself. Learned all about the stress response. And this was many, many years ago, and when all of this was really new. The idea of meditation, the idea that then what you eat could affect anxiety levels. So I gradually started changing my diet, and actually wrote some books about how to stop panic attack, and worked for many years with lots and lots of people, helping them to quiet their mind and quiet their body, and let go of panic and anxiety.
That's amazing. There's so much anxiety happening right now. So I'm
Yes.
sure that your work would be so beneficial for people. So is breath is a big part of lowering anxiety, correct?
So yes, and I love that now we're calling it breath work. So
Yes,
in
yes,
my
breath work.
day, it was not called breath work, and I still don't like that term because it implies work. And
Mm,
what I focus on, and what I always help people through, is this idea that this is natural and that you know how to do it. You don't have to work at it, because think of when you were a baby. And if you are around babies and small children, when they're quiet, when they're sleeping, or they're really relaxed, or you're holding them, you just can feel their little tummies going
mm,
up and down. They're not thinking about, oh, I have to practice a breathing exercise, or I have to do breath work right now. It's just a natural pattern. And so we start to teach people the value of using your diaphragm, which you know how to do because that's how you were breathing when you were little.
right.
And you just got out of the habit because life got hard. And what happens when you are in a stress response? You think there's imminent danger, you need air really fast. So you, and then a lot of times you're trapped in this pattern of chest breathing.
Mm,
Or often you're like a deer in headlights in sheer terror. And so what do? You hold your breath.
to hold.
Or in my case, and it's very common when you're in a state of panic, is you hyperventilate. So you keep thinking, I'm not getting enough air. And so you keep taking in more and more. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. You keep inhaling, where you really need to do is focus on the exhale and let it out.
Mm,
And so when I was seeing patients, I would have them use biofeedback. And it was really a wonderful way. And so if any listeners access to practitioners who do biofeedback, you can have dual respiration belts. So I would have somebody, we'd hook on a belt on on their chest and across their belly. And
Mm-hmm.
then they would breathe, and then they'd see on the screen what that looked like, which belt was registering more activity, or would the breath look really choppy? And I would say, okay, it's a choppy, stormy sea. Now let's imagine that the storm has passed and you're creating smooth, relaxing waves. And just those prompts would create a different state. And so from
Oh,
breathing
wow.
rapidly, they would learn
Mm-hmm.
to slow it down. So that was a very, very valuable technique. And what I do now, I founded Functional Medicine Coaching Academy, where we train health coaches, and a lot of health coaches can help if you're struggling with breathing, to help to teach these techniques. And they're really simple, but it does all start with the breath, to get back to your original question. Very important.
Nice. And for people that want to learn these techniques, is it best for them to work with one of the health coaches that were trained under you, or is there a book or a website that they can go to learn more?
Yes, so they can go to functionalmedicinecoaching.org. We have a fine coach. We have also people can connect them with coaches, and there's also coaches can help them use some apps. There's a lot of new technologies where you can use devices that will measure this activity, measure even brainwave activity or heart rate variability. And those are great because they're giving feedback. And when you have a coach who's walking you through, then that is really powerful, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people get these, they'll install an app, and then oh, they don't get in the habit of using it. Even getting a notification about using it sometimes wears thin. So having that human touch of having somebody to help them get started, hold them accountable, teach them how to pair that with particular activities, because sometimes we think we're going to wait and call on these strategies when it's hard or when it's really stressful, or I need to take time out. This is very common. I need to take time out, 20 minutes, and meditate. And as if that is going to be helpful 5 hours later when you're in a really stressful, chaotic situation. The idea is that you have to do it on the spot, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
most effective
So
when you
that
most need it.
so when you pretty much you learn it, so it becomes automatic.
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
in just a few minutes, there's some very great quieting techniques.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ones that I love, this comes from heart rate variability training, is that you take a belly breath, and then you imagine breath is warm. That's think of what your body does to a breath. It warms it. So you draw it in. And then as you exhale, you feel that warmth. Imagine feelings of warmth just coming into your heart. And heart, we think of heartwarming emotions. And so you associate that warmth with warm feelings with love. And imagine then spreading that love, whether it's internally, imagine giving your cells, your organs, your sore muscles, wherever you need it, a little bit of love. And then imagine spreading it outward into the outer world.
I love that. That's so perfect for the Infinite Love Show. And so I would love to hear why you decided to create a organization to train other people. So that's a big undertaking to create a school, essentially.
Sure. So, well, I was 65 years old 5 years ago when we launched,
Mm-hmm.
and I had started out way, way back in the late 60s, early 70s. I was a teacher, and I love to teach. I love to
Mm,
inspire first little kids. I
yeah.
had taught special education. I taught at college level. I taught people how to become special education teachers. And so throughout my career, when I was a psychologist, I taught university courses in addition to having a private practice. And when I learned functional medicine, these principles were so powerful. And so what I did is I took those principles and integrated them with all of the approaches that I had learned over the years that I knew worked because, again, they worked on me and they worked
Right.
on people that I was seeing in my office. So positive psychology, cognitive behavior therapy, mind-body medicine strategies like we just talked about, breathing.
Yeah.
What if we put it all together in a systems-based approach? And so the Institute for Functional Medicine was training doctors. And so we approached them like, would you like to collaborate? We'll form a school, we'll teach, it'll be all remote. Thankfully, it was all remote. And we'll train people to become health coaches because the world needs health coaches. The doctors can't do it all. And so Institute for Functional Medicine, IFM, loved the idea. And so we built it. When we started, we didn't know what we were doing. And we teach a business track in our course to coaches, people who want to be coaches, help them get their business going or how to work with doctors. And we say, start before you're ready. And that's what we did. We just jumped in and gathered faculty. And I've always really focused on people who are honorable, people who are committed because they have strong mission and purpose. And those are the kind of students that we attract, people who want to serve, they want to give back. And so we teach them. We teach people how to work one-on-one, live as well as remote, as well as groups. So it's my mission in life.
To teach people how to help out, to teach other people how to heal.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So when people go through this program, do they have specific niches or they learn everything and then afterwards they decide what niche they want to go into?
People come to us from all walks of life, all over the world, with all different levels of training and experience. Some are medical doctors. Perhaps they're retiring. Perhaps they want to learn to coach and now coach, wear those two hats or use coaching approach or use this approach with their medical practices. We have other people at the other end of the spectrum who are completely new to healthcare. We have people who may just come out of high school. They're just inspired to give back. And so they don't have to have a healthcare background. We have many career changers, many people who've been in corporate, many people who are disrupted now. Their industry has just been disrupted. And so they're wondering, what can I do? And now more than ever, we just need so many health coaches. This field is exploding. And we have this pandemic within the pandemic, and that is there's so many people suffering right now from a lot of conditions like type 2 diabetes, and conventional medicine does not have the tools or resources. The doctors don't have the training to focus on diet and lifestyle that people need. Coaches can really, especially through groups, lead groups and really inspire people to take charge of their health. So to be a coach, you're a good listener and you feel like you have a calling to serve. So many people from many walks of life choose to become coaches.
Yeah. So what about the listeners out there that are going through chronic illness or they're going through something devastating and they've gone to many people and they're looking or thinking about going to a health coach or they've never thought about it and now they're being introduced to the idea? What is the best way for them to go about finding the right one for them?
Sure. So first and foremost, you want to find somebody who is board certified, and they must be board certified by the National Board for Health and Wellness Coaching. Just like if you're finding a doctor, you'd want them to be licensed by the state. And similarly, for a health coach, so we as a school are approved by the National Board for Health and Wellness Coaching, meaning our graduates can sit for their exam. So our graduates can become board certified. That means they've met certain criteria. Now, there's some other organizations that issue board certification, but they are not the national board for health and wellness coaching. So that is the gold standard. So that would be number one. If you're searching for
Okay.
someone, you do your homework and ask, what, and they might say they're board certified. Well, who's by who? And so that could be telling. The second is coaches are coaches, and they are not medical doctors. They are not nutritionists. They do not diagnose. They do not treat. The reason coaching works so beautifully is because that person is your cheerleader. They are
Mm.
there to help you change when change is hard. They are not there. You've seen enough experts. And so the coach has to know what is out of their scope. And they work with and respect other practitioners. So work with, like, help you get connected with a functional medicine doctor or a nutritionist who can, if that's what you need for a consult. And then the coach is going to help you implement those changes that the experts recommend. So somebody who is telling you they're a coach and they can interpret labs, or they have supplements that you should be taking and buy it from them, I would run away from those people,
Oh,
because
really?
they are operating outside of the scope of practice of
Okay.
a health coach. Now, having said that, there are many people out there who have a lot of different training, so perhaps they do have a degree in nutrition as well as being a health coach. That would be different.
Mm.
But somebody who is going outside their scope of practice would be, there are, again, that's what people go to medical school for, or go do all that training in nutrition. And so that would be another. And then I've got to say I'm biased, because I look for someone who's Functional Medicine Coaching Academy. We tend to attract a very, very a wonderful bunch of people all over the world who are just so committed, and they're in it for the right reasons. They're in it
Right.
because they often they had an issue themselves where they found functional medicine, and now they are anxious to help others on their health and wellness journey.
Hmm. True. I think it's important to recognize people that have had certification, because a lot of people are calling themselves coaches, but they don't necessarily have the credentials behind them. So I say that to everyone that's looking for any kind of help, is to look for someone that has studied the information that they're sharing. It's important.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
yeah. And
Okay.
I do want to point out that coaches can educate. So let's say you get something back from your doctor and you need a lot
Right.
more information. Coaches can play that role. And so there are many fine coaches out there. And if you want to be a coach, doesn't mean you can't write a book, or you can't blog, or you can't give lectures and classes where you're teaching. But it's just not diagnosing and prescribing and making recommendations for any given individual. But within that, there's so much opportunity to educate people.
Okay. Nice. So we're going to ask some infinite love questions. All right.
Uh, Love it.
How do you use love in your work?
Every day I wake up and I use the mantra my mother taught me, today's going to be a good day. And just, I love every aspect. So it's universal. When I'm meeting with my team, when I'm doing podcasts like this, educating people about coaching, when I'm
Mhm.
working with students and graduates, and hearing about the incredible things they're doing around the world. It's heartfelt, and we're building a business track, which is called building a heart-centered business.
Oh, that's great. So you're really helping people get tapped into their heart so they can really heal from a loving place. That's beautiful.
Yes.
Nice. How do you feel like your work is used to uplift humanity?
Oh, that is my mission and purpose. And I just become teary eyed when I hear stories of our graduates all around the world who are having such impact. And I just picture them, and I picture all of the thousands of people that they're seeing, and then all of those people that are now teaching this to their friends and their family, and it's just growing. So again, it's heartwarming. I love it.
Nice. So what does it mean for you to be a positive force of goodness in the world?
To really dedicate my life to training people to become incredibly powerful health coaches, to work, whether they're running their own business or whether they're working, we advocate, work with doctors, work with nutritionists, with psychologists, just have people in your community. And so that is just means so much to me. And so that's really what I live for. And I see I've actually brought my children in. My daughter Laura is our podcast host, and what the
Oh,
fun.
nice.
My daughter Carly is our chief operating officer. And so that's another way that I get so much joy in my life, just seeing it is a family. And that's how we feel about our team as well. Our co-founder and everyone on our team.
Oh, that's wonderful. So for those out there that are thinking about becoming a health coach or interested in learning more, they definitely can seek your information out, right? We'll have your information in the show notes, but it's great to have that information out there, because I thought about being a health coach back like 15 years ago, and there wasn't that many options. So I decided to go to acupuncture school because they didn't have accredited programs back then in 2003 or 2004, around there. So it's great that these opportunities are available now for people.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is growing because there's demand. And there are people who, doctors are realizing that they cannot do this alone. And especially now with converting to virtual practices and the demand, the need for people to take care of their health.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to do the quick fire questions. What do you love most about your life?
To be able to take a breath every day when you're 70, that's important. And stand up straight and don't fall down.
Yeah, your health.
There's health, absolutely. When you don't have your health, you have nothing.
That's a very good point. When do you feel you receive love?
Every day, every moment, because I work on making that an active process. I don't wait for it to happen.
So love is a verb for you.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you give love to be able to receive love.
Yes.
Nice. When do you feel the most love?
I feel the most love when I am communicating, when I'm connecting with people. Love is connection.
Nice. And where has love created a miracle in your life?
When I have had negative expectations or worries, and every time I trust that process of love and connection, it's a miracle. So turning worries into really blessings.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, because that is, so many people are worrying all the time, and that's a really important point. So thank you for sharing that. So thank you so much. This has been such an insightful podcast episode, and I loved learning about the work that you do and how you inspire thousands of people. And I pray and wish that you inspire more people, and that people are inspired to learn from you. It's just such a great model, and I thank you so much for your time.
Oh, it was such a pleasure. I loved being here and talking with you.
Thank you so much. And for those that are listening again, where can they find your information?
functionalmedicinecoaching.org. On Facebook, it's Functional Medicine Coaching Academy. On Instagram, Functional Med Coach.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. I'll see you soon.
You too.
Sending
Bye.
you lots of love. Bye.
Same here. Bye now.
Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe and tune in on Tuesdays for new episodes. For more information about me, please follow me on Instagram at Corinne J. Camara and my website, CorinneCamara.com. Sending you lots of infinite love.